Sikes. So, Phil, thanks for being with us this afternoon. Just tell us a bit about what you do for the Clemson Athletic Department in men's basketball.
All righty. First of all, it's good to be on with you guys. Appreciate you having me. I'm actually the Associate Communications Director for the Athletic Department, and that handles many hats, but primarily what we do is we are in charge of publicizing the athletic teams here at Clemson, and I just happen to have men's basketball as my primary sport. I also do men's and women's track and field here at Clemson. We prepare press releases. We handle ClemsonTigers.com, our official website. Of course, we coordinate all media-related activities pertaining to the team. That includes interview coordination for players and coaches and things of that nature. So just a little bit of everything in terms of PR-wise you could imagine getting into. We pretty much do it in our department.
Well, talk a little bit about, obviously the basketball season. Give us a little recap, because a lot of people don't tune in until after football's over. That's just, basketball, as a whole. Mm-hmm. But just give us a little recap of what the Tigers did in December and obviously last night.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's kind of go back a little bit. It was a great start to this season for a young team. I thought getting off to a 5-0 start, making it to the championship game of the Charleston Classic at the end of the month was a real treat for this team. I thought that showed a lot of growth. December saw its ups and downs a little bit for the Tigers. They went on the road for the first time back on December 7th against Arkansas, a game that was very much back and forth. Arkansas had a really good first half, and then Clemson just kind of squeaked its way back into it a little bit, only to see the Razorbacks kind of slam the door in the end. Then they went on the road at Auburn, a game that many had circled as a winnable game for the Tigers, and it was a tough ball game as well. They really were under the gun from the get-go in that game down at Auburn. Horrible start, as bad as you can possibly imagine the team having to start on the road. Give them credit. They clawed back in and tied it up 34 at halftime, if I believe correctly. But in the second half, it was a couple turnovers here and there, and that seems to be a common theme now based off last night's performance. But a couple late turnovers in that ball game really turned it. What was a 3-point lead for Clemson with 5 minutes to go turned into a 2-point win for Auburn. And then they got a nice deserved break off. I think the team took about 5 days off around Christmas, which is unheard of in major college basketball, but much needed for a team that had been going hard since the summer when they were preparing to go to Italy for a foreign tour, and they did that in August, and then didn't really have a lot of downtime after that before the season got cranking. So around Christmas they were able to get a lot of time off, and I think that was beneficial. They came back strong with a 30-point win against VMI to close out non-conference 9-3, and then last weekend the team and we actually went up to Boston College, and the guys built a pretty strong lead. 13-point lead, 14-point lead at halftime, 31-17. BC made a run 2 times. They pulled within 3 or 4 points in the second half of that ball game. But give Clemson credit, so they made a lot of shots down the stretch to keep them at bay, and then they hung on for dear life inside the final minute after a few costly turnovers, pulled BC within arm's distance.
Right. Well, I was down at that Auburn game in December, and Tigers got up by 8 or 10,
yeah,
and just a couple things led to another, couple turnovers. A charging call, which was kind of interesting, first one of the game. But talk about the game last night. Just kind of, a really good crowd, almost 9,000 people there. It just kind of didn't start well, and just cold, didn't shoot well.
It's hard to point what exactly was going on last night. If you watch the tape and then examine it a little bit, you just kind of have to think it's one of those bad matchup deals for Clemson. Florida State was very similar to a team that Clemson played in the championship game down in Charleston. UMass, very long, physical, athletic team. The difference was that I thought Florida State was a lot better in transition than UMass, and they cashed in on their opportunities. Clemson did not handle the basketball well, did not handle pressure well last night, and for whatever reason just was out of sync and could not find a rhythm offensively. And offensively, it's been a struggle for this team all season long. But last night was, it's interesting. The team had only had 3 straight games to single-digit turnovers, and then last night doubled that with 18 in one game. And you can't win games in the ACC no matter what court you're on when you have 18 turnovers, and it leads to such a disparity in the points off turnovers.
Right, and KJ McDaniels, usually leading scorer, struggled a little bit. A lot of, they all struggled from, field goals. Man, I'm looking at it right now, what was it, 21-16 in the first half, almost
Yeah.
more like a football score. Well, just talk about tomorrow. I mean, yeah, obviously playing Duke tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of promotions or anything going on? Are there tickets still on sale? And what are they going to have to do to play a little better?
Yeah, you know what? We actually announced that it just sold out within about an hour ago. The game is officially a sellout for tomorrow, so it should be another great crowd at Littlejohn Coliseum. I know Coach Brownell and the players are very positive and complimentary of the crowd that showed up last night. They wish they had given them a little bit better display of basketball, that's for sure. But, you know, a Rockets crowd could get really into it tomorrow and give the Tigers a bit of energy, and I think that's going to be important coming off that type of performance. Clemson's going to need – I think they need to get in the gym and play again quickly. Don't give yourself too much time to sulk about the performance last night. But more importantly, it's just you want to see that a team out on the court that's going to communicate with one another. I mean, you need to see, if you're Clemson, you want to see one of those leaders, whether it be a Rod Hall, a Jordan Rope, or KJ McDaniels, really start to emerge as a voice in the locker room, because I think that that's been something they've been looking for all season long. And KJ is obviously the guy you look to in that situation. He's coming off a so-so game for him. I think that shows his maturation as a player. We think he didn't play that well, but he still ended up with 14 points and 7 rebounds, so his numbers were there, but he just seemed a little off kilter as well, as I thought Rod and Jordan probably experienced their toughest games of the season so far last night.
You think it could have been a little bit of case of maybe, FSU had just gotten beat by Virginia at home, I think. Maybe looking ahead a little bit to Duke?
Yeah, well, I think importantly, from FSU's perspective, they had a similar performance to what Clemson had last weekend. I mean, they got beat by over 20 at home in a game where Joe Harris, Virginia's best player, didn't even play that much. He went down with a little bit of an injury, and Florida State really got worked down in Tallahassee by a very good Virginia team, of course. But nonetheless, that kind of fueled their fire coming into this game this week. They had that look in their eye last night, like they came in with something to prove, and ultimately that's what surfaced on the court.
Right. Well, just talk about Duke tomorrow. What are they going to have to? They're obviously going to have to shoot much better and try to get the crowd in the game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that starts. Clemson's got to get off to a better start offensively. We've seen it time and again this season, really struggling out of the gate for whatever reason. Last night, Landry Noko got a quick dunk in transition, but then Florida State scored the next 11 points, and then all of a sudden the energy of a good crowd was zapped away right there just 5 minutes into the game. And it took a long time for the crowd to kind of want to get back into it based on the play they were seeing on the court. But that's going to be big to get some buckets early, kind of get your confidence back, because this is a team that their confidence wanes back and forth a little bit when they miss and make shots, when they commit mistakes. They seem to kind of beat themselves up over it. I think that a good crowd could go a long way in helping them out in that regard. But Duke is a team that obviously year in, year out, you know what you're going to expect from Duke. They're going to spread the floor offensively. They're going to look for driving lanes, and then they'll kick out to shooters. And they happen to be one of the best shooting teams in the country. They're shooting right now as a team 42% as a team from three. They got, of course, Jabari Parker is coveted as one of the top NBA prospects. He's only a freshman, averaging 20 points a game, but he shoots 41% from three at 6'8". Then you got a guy that transferred in from Mississippi State. He's eligible this year, Rodney Hood. He's averaging 18.5 points a game, and this kid shoots 47% from deep. So whatever you do, you want to get your offense back on track if you're Clemson, but you cannot let your defensive principles go, because Duke will present all sorts of challenges. They average about 85 a game, and they really can put a lot of stress on your defense.
Yeah, definitely agreed, and especially with Parker they have there. I mean, a bunch of NBA talent on that.
Always.
But hopefully, rebound from that and have a short memory. And, so what time does I guess tell the listeners, what time does the Coliseum open up tomorrow? And, tickets obviously, but hopefully students and fans will get out there and support them tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Doors open at 1 o'clock. Game's going to tip off at just after 2 o'clock. For those that aren't able to go, it will be televised by the Regional Sports Network, which the local affiliate is basically Fox Sports South here in the Clemson market. But, the student turnout the other night was tremendous. I thought the marketing department here at Clemson did a great job offering some beverages and some food as well to the first 1,000 students that got in. And what happened was you had an overflow crowd, and they were even slow getting them all in there. for the game against Florida State. But I hope that despite the outcome that was difficult for so many last night, I hope you will see another good crowd tomorrow as Clemson really is going to have to focus in because they don't want to lose two right out of the gate in the ACC. That would put them behind the eight ball a little bit before they have a tough stretch run coming up with some road games.
Yeah, definitely agreed, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully, big crowd comes out, and thanks again for joining us. We'll definitely have you back on to talk more basketball as ACC play continues. So thanks again, and go Tigers.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mason, for having me.
All right.